So, 65 million years in the last, I guess, what, 2.5 years since my last Jurassic World review. And I finally get 4K for this. More or less. Hey everybody, what's up? This is Retrokid review. Is probably going to be doing a product review, mainly on the darts, for, my Nerf Pro, blaster, probably next video. And apparently this isn't a Jurassic, Park / World review if I have a Nerf gun, I guess, related to it. We'll get to this, with the torrent next time. Till then, let's just rechamber, I guess, into this, Jurassic World review. Starting off the top, go to my previous review because, in case you could tell, I'm trying to recreate most of the lighting for this one because though I didn't get much views-wise then, it's probably my best performing review as far as coherent memory from. Speaking of coherent memory, I literally just got out of the theater seeing this, on its opening weekend, so, excuse the sunburns for 4K watchers out there, sorry in advance for that. But on a budget of 180 mil, it's got a good chance of having an opening box office of 100 here in the States, don't know internationally yet, which means it's on track to healthily get a moderate budget back, if anything else. The last World movie, which was obviously demeaning good in my previous review of that, speaking of that 4K-ness I'm trying to replicate here, to put it bluntly, aside from baby photos in the bag, it was hard to recreate the shot. I don't know what I had as a gimbal back then, so who knows. Recreations aside, is this more or less the same kind of situation for this movie as well? Is it a recreation of the vibes of the original movie, knowing that David Koepp of the original movie's writers came back for this, and Gareth Edwards being a new face for the directing chair this time around? At points, there's some good shades of it. I'll start at the top. Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali are the real leads of this movie. I mean, you probably see them mostly in the trailer fodder coming up for this, and the most of the marketing coming for this movie, and recreating most of the vibes of it is kind of there, but you can also tell that these are two one post-MCU actor in ScarJo's case, but almost MCU actor, and Mahershala still not coming out yet. Blade, I don't even know what's going on with that still. Just kind of walking through what is essentially the Jurassic Park equivalent of like a Sci-Fi Channel original movie at this point. I mean, that was kind of also what I also said about like the World sequels were, okay, which one's turning into JP3 bad, which one's turning into Lost World crazy. It's a bit of both, and there's also another thing I haven't really mentioned throughout the World reviews, is that they had borrowed over some script ideas what would have been Jurassic Park 4 way back when in the 2000s, I think. There was a video essay that covered the whole thing, I think. Matt Draper, like usual, of anything else when it comes to these franchises. Having said that, the only wild thing they kept this time around that they wanted to adapt something from Crichton's novel of the original movie was I think a raft sequence where there was a whole family center around it this time around, which was mostly the B plot. But unironically, again, this is coming off of my first viewing, so I won't know until probably a week or two later till how I really want to remember this whole sequence. It's there. There's moments of like if they had more time with the script of like a tighter family dynamic, and another key staple from like the World movies that I think they kind of forgot to do. Well, really too. Sorry, it's been a long, dry week out here as far as good content goes. So, that having been said, we'll get to that when we get to that. Outside of the plot of this movie is pretty simple. Just go into another secret island. Again, this is kind of where the whole, and then they went to another location, kind of like director streaming vibes. This kind of script would have been, had it not been the original writer of the original Jurassic Park movies, and I think it was one of the many cast and crew of that first movie ended up being producers for the majority of this franchise. I don't know. I mean, plot-wise, is get in, get out with like 3 samples from a land, a sea, and an air dinosaur to help with, I believe, heart conditions and a lot of other heart disease for cardiology around the world kind of stuff. And having a not crazy, but pretty much money-hungry, billionaire basically back in the whole thing and swearing he isn't evil kind of shit. Yeah, coming off the 4th of July and my country being my country nowadays, so sorry in advance for the hiccups and how I really feel. But yeah, Rupert Friend, I think and Jonathan Bailey are, I believe, Bridgerton alumni. I could be wrong on one of them. I do like the fact that Bailey got pretty much the most on the nose horror movie name for his character for Henry Loomis, and I think has shades of a backstory of being at the dig site for Alan Grant's way back when. If I had to put a movie in between her with that character, I would say after three, before going into Dominion kind of years, I would believe that if anything else with that backstory. Speaking of those backstories, they do not have a lot of time to talk about. They kind of trudge it through. I think I don't know if it was Charged with Dan or other content creators got to see this movie early in advance. Probably said that Mahershala Ali and ScarJo, Zoa, and Duncan pretty much ran through their backstories in a past tense than even like most directed DVD sequels of Universal's franchise wishes they could do, essentially. And yeah, other than that, the family, when that raft scene, like I said earlier, has an okay B plot for like if you had a good guest character for a TV show kind of vibes. It just needed to get a little more time in the kitchen when it comes to like writing this kind of stuff, because I think that's the overall thing I can agree with on the disappointing side of this movie, is that the writing feels like it just needed to be well kept, or more importantly in David Koepp's case, have more time to breathe out the characters a little bit longer, which would actually help this movie's benefit. I don't know if this is the longest. It's not. I think Dominion is the longest movie in the franchise. Um, Honestly, I think this is at 2 hours and 11, so I think it's the second longest in the franchise. And ironically, they have more time for the dinosaurs this time around. And two things of what I said of the JP4 script that they probably kept. They actually did pretty ironically accurate to what they wanted to do for the movie way back when. I think the first 5 minutes of just having a brachiosaur being stuck in like traffic in New York to like start bridging Bailey's character coming into this whole thing is actually really cool of a sequence. It gets the point across of it being a mild hindrance instead of just the awe and wonder of dinosaurs essentially in the world now. And that's another thing. I think even when my review of Dominion back then, I think me and a lot of other just YouTubers across the board and other critics across the world kind of wanted to see the world itself of more of the dinosaurs living in like nowadays conditions and stuff like that. And apparently the studio also thought, oh, they actually want that. They're all just magically dying now because they can't like acclimate to like our conditions, and they have to be stuck in islands because it's the closest to what they had 65 million years ago. A lot of weird excuses, despite that same previous movie they had with the locusts and everything. Again, it was kind of that weird. There's really not much I can do without sporadic spoilers to explain most of the action sequences. Those are actually still good. Like I said, the raft earlier with the T-Rex was fun. The D-Rex in general has like the Gareth Edwards school of like mysteriously showing the monster till the last act kind of vibes. Unless you saw a certain TikTokers reels, at least on my side of things, or social media, just showing off the toys and stuff like that. I think it's JP something Project 25. I think Jurassic Project. I don't know. I'll leave his socials down below, because I'm not gonna lie, his fun TikTok bits is kind of the most marketing I think the toys ever got for the actual stuff. I don't have kids of my own, but I think if I was with my nieces and nephews and they had actual like basic cable, they probably might have an ad. I don't know. Essentially, aside from like commercialism and all the other lived-in products and stuff like that, not too much. I know there's like a Dr. Pepper deal. Again, this is the Jurassic franchise. They're kind of known for like their overabundance of like capitalism and in-name product kind of stuff. It's kind of like the storytelling of it, of like how unironic it is, I guess. If you really go back into it. As for Gareth himself directing, he's actually really good. His cinematography is at its peak. Post-creator, I didn't get around to seeing that movie, but I heard it was okay cinematography-wise. You could definitely tell it was shot on film, especially when they were shrinking down the Mosasaur early on before going into the island. You could definitely tell it was shot in 35 millimeter. I think it was the standard industry camera quality. I'm not that deep of a film fan, just letting you know in advance, but it's talk of the town. It's basically how it is. I think even with the IMAX cams, I saw a standard release. I didn't see it in IMAX. I didn't see it in 3D, which is still weird to say in 2025. Having still said that, is it worth your time? In a sense, if you come in knowing it's going to be like a Sci-Fi Channel original movie kind of movie, but with like an elevated budget, totally worth it if you can. It has rental potential, rewatching later down the road. I think this is the most rewatchable than, I want to say, 3. So that's like the kind of vibe you need to get into. Like, there's not too much you could write home about. The island's bookended with the D-Rex's creation, escape, and then bookended where they are 17 plus years later. I guess that was oddly specific for whatever reason. I think it was when World was happening, the park itself, the World version of the park. And I guess they just wanted to mix and match with the boredom that was like the whole thing about that first movie. Speaking of which, yeah, that first movie in the world half of the franchise turned 10 as of this year. And wow, this movie's a weird anniversary film if they're going to go with that. Like the last time they had a weird anniversary film with Dominion and the original franchise turning 30. So again, balls in your court if you really want to see this movie. So last thoughts and judgment time, I guess, for this movie. It's a strong 7 out of 10, not a high 7 out of 10. I think if I look back into my Dominion score, I think I might have had it one score down, maybe to like a 6.5 back then. So it's a flat 7 with good reason. I'm missing a lot of characters that I actually have. Speaking of Marvel ties, I'm going to probably do a Things I Missed short with Deadpool. You'll know it when you see it when it comes to that character actor. If anything else, that might come up later this weekend or probably Monday content. So with that all being said, and my final, I guess, probably dart/tranquilizer shot. What were these blasters in these movies? I still don't understand it, even after Dominion. With that out of the way, to the end of the cards. So, again, if you can see this in theaters, go ahead if you can. If you're on the fence about this franchise, wait on streaming. It's not that big of a deal. Definitely don't wait on TV for a couple of years. Try streaming once. You might get something out of it as far as, like, the theme park thrill ride of most of the action set pieces. So, yeah, like I said, shot over here to my previous video and shot here to my probably upcoming Things I Missed short for this movie. And until my Ironheart wrap-up review, probably next week, and Superman also, yeah, there's going to be a very superhero-heavy next couple of weeks here on the channel. So, speaking of which, sure, gear, as always, to sub the channel, hit the notification bell down below. And until next time, I am Retrokid Reviews saying, all that for 3 samples. That's weird. I could have sworn it would have gone like 4 or 5 and not a Barbasol can, or am I just crazy here?